Welcome to another episode of Iron Science Boxing. I'm your host, Iron Levant. Let's get right into it. So, last night we had the fight, Spence versus Tszyu. It didn't end up like how a lot of fans wanted it, to end, with Spence being victorious. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give props to both, just for getting in the ring. But there's something I want to point out. And we're gonna go ahead to the first round. We're gonna go back to the first round. And what I noticed was when I thought Spence might have tripped over Tszyu's foot. He fell off balance and then, Tszyu rushed in and caught him with a right. And he kind of knocked his head back. In the same round, he caught Spence on the side of the head. And for you guys that box or actually spar or professionals, you know what it feels like to get your equilibrium knocked off when you get hit on the side of the head. Now, this is no excuse, but I think that from round one, them two shots reminded Spence's body, not really so much his mental, but his body, of trauma, of being hit or being reminded, when you get hit and you feel this pain, this is how we're going to react. This is his body, not his mind. So I went back and I watched the fight again, and I really noticed that, man. And another thing I realized was that, Tszyu looked stronger than Spence. And mind you, everything that I'm telling you is not an excuse. I'm just telling you from my perspective. Tszyu looked stronger. Doesn't mean he hit harder or he had more pop on his punch. That was one. Two, it also looked like Tszyu was being real basic. And sometimes I mention how if you have two guys on an extreme high level, the person that can revert back to basics or that masters the basics can be victorious. I mean, that is what it is. If you watch the fight, think about it. Tszyu ain't do nothing spectacular. His footwork wasn't crazy. He wasn't super flashy. He wasn't all up, doing amazing things. He was just trying to walk Spence down, he coming forward. And, he did his thing. He was able to connect, especially from the midpoint down to the end. Tszyu was able to, do pretty much what he wanted to do. He had Spence on the back foot. And yeah, man, it's just it's just hard to be able to after a 3-year layoff and come back and people think he's gonna come back and look like how he did at 147 before the accident. Nobody wants to use anything as an excuse. Nobody's saying that, because he came back after accident and he was victorious. But even in his victories, you saw things that just didn't look right. Even when he fought Ugas, he looked, in my opinion, all the damage that he did do to Ugas, but he didn't look, in my opinion, he didn't look sharp. He looked strong, but he didn't look sharp, and he didn't look fast. And, that weight, 160, they came to 160. I don't know. I think if they would have fought at 154, the fight might have been a little different. No excuses. They do have weight classes for a reason. But if you go back and look at the post-fight, that Tszyu was saying how it was killing him to try to go down 154. So if Tszyu's going to continue to fight, I think he's going to stay at 160. If he fights any of the top level dudes, I really can't see him being, I can't really see him being, how I want to say it. I can't see him getting a lot of victories at 160. I just can't, man. Not fighting the way he did last night. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give props to both guys. They went in there, they did their thing. Spence gets all the props from me because, I've been following him since, the early days, man, when actually the first fight I ever saw Spence is when he fought Phil Greco. And I thought, you want to talk about basics? I saw him like he was basic, but it was flawless, man. Like, and then going all the way up to when he fought Kell Brook, you actually kind of saw something like passive aggressive, and then he became more aggressive after like the midpoint down. And I think people was kind of wanting to see that, right? To get that, you have to be in the ring, right? We know he don't do the tune-up thing, right? But the tune-up thing is probably what he should have done. He should have came back and, you know, and fought guys and did his thing. But anyway, until the next episode, I'm going to get with you guys. And much props to Spence.